Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Sci-Fi TV, where we do our best to inspire your imagination. I'm Maurice Waters, your host, and today we're talking about literacy, comic books, and the East Coast Black AIDS of Comic Book Convention's 20th anniversary. Today we have two guests here. We have the founder of the East Coast Black AIDS of Comics, also called ECBACC, Yumy Odom. Welcome to the show. And Akinseye Brown, who is the vice president of ECBACC and also coordinates some of their workshops and extended programs. Welcome to the program, and congratulations on this being your 20th year of service in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start off by really talking about some explanations, because some people don't understand what a comic book convention is, and then on top of it, what's unique or special about the type of comic book convention that you do. So can one of you kind of talk about that?
Which one?
It doesn't matter.
Well, Mr. Yumy, I give it to you, the founder.
No problem. Well, basically, a comic book convention is a venue for sellers, buyers, fans to come together to celebrate comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Comic books, superhero comic books, whichever kind of, and graphic novels, and films also in that.
And what makes ECBACC different than the other conventions that are out there?
Well, ECBACC is the exception because our goal was really to unite independent comic book creators. We also included corporate, but the initial reason for ECBACC was to connect the independents who were mostly ignored at these conventions. So where other conventions had the quote-unquote artist alleys, ECBACC doesn't have an artist alley. The entire convention is for the artists and the creators.
And when you look at a convention like this versus some of the mainstream ones, I mean, I think most people would think that, you know, you have your fanfare, you have people dressing up like superheroes, and you know, what's that all about? Can you explain that to the audience a little bit? Some of the components that make a convention.
Well, ECBACC has that as well, but our Africaz cosplay is a major part of the convention. Having the workshops, literacy workshops, workshops for youth and adults, that's a major part of the convention, which is kind of distinct from the Eurostream conventions. That's mostly about the fanfare of it, when ours has a kind of historical goal that we're also addressing the literacy issues for African-American people and everybody by using comic books as a way to increase their literacy. And we use these Black images or Africana images because everybody needs to see those. It's not just Pan-African people who need to see quote-unquote Black images. The entire world needs to see those images.
And I think what becomes unique about what Mr. Yumy is also saying is that in the ECBACC space or sphere, obviously using the same template as many other common conventions where you have professional workshops, youth workshops, and costume contests, we have a culture of family at our convention. So at a typical, you know, large scale citywide convention, you know, you might have the kids over there and mom and dad are home. But, you know, with ECBACC, you know, the family is there. You know, when you have a youth workshop, you'll see mom and dad there. When you have a costume contest, you'll see mom and dad there. When you have the professional workshops, you see mom and dad with their teenage son and daughter learning about the industry. So I think ECBACC offers a more family experience as well as the cultural and literary and education piece.
And you know, and talking a little bit more about that, you know, Akin, I know that you also head up the STARS program. Can you talk about that program a little bit, about how it came about and what it does?
Yeah, unfortunately, my math is a little bit off, but I think we started STARS in 2006.
Sounds right.
There, 2006, And STARS is the acronym. It's storytelling that advances reading skills, and it, for most part, it kind of lays on the back of the themes and the programs that Mr. Yumy had already started before ECBACC, which was taking comic books and fantasy literature into the school system and uh, having the children excited about reading, which then inspires them to read more often and obviously improve their literacy skills. But what we decided to do was to take that same model and bring it actually into the convention with more concentrated workshops. We developed within those workshops specific exercises that we like to say that we've created on our own and patented ourselves that help to bridge the gap between education, literacy lessons with comic book sci-fi fun. And we find like a unique way of kind of merging those two that I think is very uniquely ECBACC and uniquely STARS. So anytime that we're asked to go to a city library and give a STARS workshop or STARS class, we have a great response. Anytime we're asked to go to any schools or institutions outside of the city of Philadelphia to facilitate a STARS workshop or activity, we get an excellent response. We've gone to museums, schools, colleges, you name it, and our STARS is well received.
Mhm.
Why do you think that right now Black comic books or Black superheroes are just like exploding on the scene, that people seem to really want to hear and read about it, or is that assessment correct? Is there a growth and the interest in that and having those images and learning more about them?
Well, there are different levels to that. Because ECBACC kind of built this bandwagon with the Black Age of Comics that Churchill only started back in '81, but the first convention was in '93, I think, in Chicago. But right now, what's happening is what I call the Black Pandering movement. Um, because it wasn't until the 1990s that anybody really cared about a Black superhero character.
Hmm.
ECBACC bolstered that. So we kept people's images and their businesses alive from like 1990 pre-ECBACC up until the convention and thereafter. So there are people who didn't have any indie Black character books out for about 5 to 10 years, but we kept them alive in our presentations and then once ECBACC started at the conventions. So right now, people are looking in and they're seeing the value of those indie comics, but people can't make the switch yet from corporate to indie. So when we say Black superheroes, we mean all of them, but our focus is indie. Most people that we talk to, they really mean corporate characters. So when they say Black superheroes, they mean the ones at the corporate companies that have money to keep selling their characters.
Hmm.
And
So
I think,
everybody's on that bandwagon now.
yeah, and to add a little bit to that, if I may, I think what's interesting about what Mr. Yumy had said about the transition from indie to corporate, I think what we also see is a like a back and forth. Our creators start indie, you know, and they venerate corporate, but then their idea of success is going back to corporate. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So you kind of have like this yo-yo, just kind of back and forth, and we're not necessarily sure if the institutions building that is necessary for the indies is actually taking place. The corporate is
Mhm.
always going to be there. Corporate is always going to be there, right? But the institution building that's going to allow our indies to make their own corporate asterisks
Hmm.
there, um, that needs to be bolstered and strengthened.
So I'd like to hear from you guys about how this convention, you were talking about Black superheroes and Black images and literacy. How has it impacted the Philadelphia community uh, over the past 20 years? What have you seen within the area that you service here? Has literacy improved? Have you seen more artists come out of the Philadelphia area? What has been over the 20 years? What has been the outcome or the impact?
Yeah, I think, at least from my perspective, a couple of things. One, the impact, I believe, goes back to that familial experience. that type of family reunion. Every year, second weekend in May, families, young people, older folks, people that like stories, people that like to read science fiction and like to see great artwork and creators, they all know where to go. They all know where to go. And I think that in itself becomes an experience that everybody can share in. And I think it adds to the cultural complex of what Philadelphia is. As you know, Philadelphia has many festivals and many activities throughout the year. And I think over the 10-year career or course or journey that ECBACC has been around, I think we've added to that tapestry of experience. So when you come to Philadelphia, this is the home of ECBACC. And I think also in terms of literacy and in terms of affecting families specifically, I think we have one or two examples that we can at least know of or talk about, or a few examples that we can talk about that ECBACC has meant something to our attendees. And the thing about that is that our attendees, the way we look at it is our participants aren't just about, those on the buyer's side of the table. It's also the people who are the sellers, right? So I think what we've seen is, at least in the Philadelphia area, is a lot more people who consider themselves creators going into business and publishing. They say, yes, I am a businesswoman, or yes, I am a businessman. I didn't think about myself that way last year, but this year, when I came to ECBACC and I sold 50 copies, I am a business person. I better get a website. I better get a business card. I better learn how to put myself in front of people to create that persona that says I'm going to be successful going forward with this industry that I so love, right? But then on the other side of the table, obviously, when you have the buyers, you have young people saying, I didn't know books like this existed. They can go to any comic book store in the Philadelphia area and not see the range and the variety of Black and brown people that you will see at ECBACC. So are they affected? Yeah, they're definitely affected, because now they can see themselves. The sellers and the producers can begin to see themselves as business people, and the attendees or the buyers or the the readers, if you want to call them that, the audience, they can see themselves in the work, but not only just in the work, they can see themselves, they can see their reflection in the seller. It's a holistic thing that happens at ECBACC. The audience member sees themselves in the comic, and then they look up, and then they also see themselves in the creator. And the creator gets to see him or herself in the audience saying, hey, I'm giving this young person something that I wish I had when I was younger. So you have a real, honest, holistic 360-degree experience happening at ECBACC, as far as improvement, as far as elevation, and as far as everyone rising. That would be
excellent. And that's a lot of stuff and a lot of work.
Right. Yeah, but it's so natural. There's no work. Right. It naturally happens when you are honestly invested in people, honestly invested in your community, honestly invested in these images, and honestly invested in people succeeding. It happens naturally. When you add something else in, then the machine breaks.
Right. So this being your 20th year anniversary, and this is the last question I have for you. What are we looking forward to? What are you bringing anything new? What's going on for this year? And will you be, as of this recording, we're still dealing with the pandemic, and everyone is really basically home. So by the time this airs, it'll air, while the convention starts. Will it be in a physical location, or are you going to have the convention online?
Well, we're still working on that. Right now, we have the space reserved from last year, right here in North Philadelphia. We just need to get the clearance that Temple will be open for business in May. Otherwise, we'll just repeat last year, only better, online. And very good, Mr. VP. Thank you so much for your commentary.
20 years.
But it also ties into our latest exhibit, which is Philly, capital of Black indie comics, that some people have seen. So yes, we've raised the kind of bar on comic book creation in Philadelphia. We've also spotlighted and highlighted a whole bunch of people who really would have gone unseen had it not been for ECBACC.
Mhm. Yeah, and well, I just want to say thank you for your time and congratulations on the 20th year anniversary. And hope you have 20 more years of success with this. And so for the people here, we will put the information up here so that people can know where the website is to find out more information about the workshops that you give, about the convention itself, and where it will be, whether it will be online as of this recording airs for the month of May. So, I want to thank both of you for your time and your energy and what you're doing. And, 20 more years of success.
Thank you.
20 more years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mhm.